Food fails and kitchen laughs, hilarious cooking moments. Get ready to laugh out loud with these hilarious food fails and kitchen adventures. From cooking disasters to funny food experiments, these globally relatable moments will keep you entertained and smiling. Perfect for all ages and audiences. Multitasking mishaps. Okay, imagine this: you're on a conference call, talking about quarterly projections, and suddenly, your pasta water boils over. Your co-workers hear the whoosh sound, and you panic. Sorry about that, I'm just cooking dinner. Cue the awkward silence. It's one of those moments where you wish you could disappear into your screen. But alas, the smell of burnt pasta fills the room and the entire neighborhood. Struggling with timing and temperature control. One time, I was presenting a project while attempting to bake a chicken. I'm telling my boss about key metrics, and suddenly I realize, the oven is at 250 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Chicken, meat disaster. The cook to perfection vision quickly turned into a poultry brick. Classic multitasking fail, right? Call comedy. Then there's the classic scenario: you're in a call, trying to mute yourself while stirring a pot, and someone asks a question. Your unmute button works a second too late, and you start with a dramatic "sorry, what was that?" as your voice cracks from inhaling steam. We've all been there. But, instead of feeling embarrassed, I say, let's embrace the comedy of it all. The perils of cooking with spices while distracted. Alright, let's get into one of the most dangerous parts of multitasking, cooking with spices. Ever tried to throw in some cumin while on a call and ended up adding way too much? Suddenly, you've got a dish that could set your tongue on fire, and your co-workers are still talking about the quarterly sales. Want to avoid these disasters in the future? Here's a thought: the next time you plan on cooking during a call, skip the complicated recipes. Stick to something safe. Maybe just boil some eggs. That way, at least you won't burn down the house while presenting your marketing strategy. The food delivery dream, and the nightmare. Everyone loves the ease of food delivery. Hit a few buttons, and boom, your favorite meal is on its way. But how many times have we been too excited only to find that the food arrived cold, soggy, or not quite as appetizing as the picture? Let's discuss some real-life delivery disasters and also explore why food delivery apps are booming, especially during busy times. One time, I ordered a pizza that looked like it had been tossed around the city before reaching me, yet I still ate it. Why? Because I was too tired to cook, and the craving was real. Relatable, right? Grandma's homemade meals, a culinary masterclass gone wrong. On the flip side, there's the allure of homemade meals. The nostalgia, the comfort, and the love that goes into every dish, except when it turns out to be a complete flop. What happens when your secret family recipe turns into a questionable science experiment? I'll tell you about my attempt to recreate Grandma's famous casserole. Spoiler alert, it was a disaster. Once, I tried to make a simple spaghetti bolognese and forgot to add the sauce. It ended up being spaghetti, with a side of regret. The leftover roulette: what did I just eat? We've all gone through the struggle of reimagining leftovers in an attempt to make them edible. Whether it's last night's pizza or some half-eaten pasta, leftover roulette is a real game. You never know if you're about to discover an accidentally gourmet creation or a tragic mess. I once tried to repurpose a leftover salad with random fridge ingredients. Did it taste good? No. But, hey, it was edible, and that's a win in my book. The truth behind kitchen fails. Let's talk about all the times you tried to impress your friends or family with a homemade dish that turned into a catastrophe. From burnt rice to raw chicken, the kitchen fails are real and often funny in hindsight. I'll walk you through my personal favorite fails and what I learned from each one. I once set off the smoke alarm by accidentally burning water. Yes, you heard that right, burnt water. It's a real thing, and I can prove it. How to make the best out of a kitchen disaster. Despite our kitchen failures, there's always room for improvement. I'll share some tips and tricks for improving your cooking skills, even if you're not the next Gordon Ramsay. We're talking about easy kitchen hacks and how to salvage a meal that may not have gone according to plan. When in doubt, add cheese. It fixes 99% of kitchen disasters. Potluck panic, when everyone brings the same dish. Have you ever been to a potluck where it was supposed to be a feast of diverse dishes but somehow everyone brought the same thing? It's like a buffet of 30 variations of potato salad. I'll share a story about a potluck disaster I attended, where all the guests thought someone else was bringing the chicken wings. Spoiler, it was just 30 containers of mashed potatoes. What do you do when life gives you too many mashed potatoes? It's an impromptu culinary challenge, and trust me, the result is hilarious. Salad spinner roulette, where will the lettuce land? Imagine trying to get your salad ready with one of those salad spinners that you're just not quite sure how to use. Halfway through, the lettuce goes flying, and now your kitchen looks like a crime scene. I'll tell you about the time I tried to spin lettuce for a party only to have it land in every corner of my kitchen. Could it be worse? Of course. You'll have to tune in to hear how the dressing ended up everywhere but on the salad. The adventures of spilled milk, cleanups that turned chaotic. We've all been there, that moment when you accidentally knock over a glass of milk, and it spills everywhere. But what happens when you slip on the spilled milk and cause a full-on chain reaction of disaster? From wet floors to broken eggs, this chaotic moment turned into an unforgettable cleanup. It's a disaster, yes, but a funny one because if you can't laugh at yourself, then what can you laugh at? The Battle of the Burnt Toast, a comedy roast. Let's talk toast. You start off with good intentions, the perfect golden brown toast. But no, somehow it always ends up charred into oblivion. And not just any burnt toast, the kind that smells like a fire alarm is going off, and you're racing around the house to make sure the smoke detector doesn't ruin the mood. The Battle of the Leftovers, Day 5 of Survival. Leftovers, we've all been there, wondering how many days in a row you can eat the same meal before you start questioning your life choices. Day 5 of Leftovers is like a survival show, but instead of dodging predators, you're trying to avoid food poisoning. I'll recount a time when I attempted to rebrand leftovers and ended up with an accidental fusion dish that no one should ever try at home. The curious case of the missing ingredients. Have you ever been in the middle of making a dish only to realize that you've completely forgotten an essential ingredient? You stand there, baffled, wondering where it went. Was it in the back of the pantry? Did you use it last week? Or worse, did you leave it out completely? I'll walk you through my journey of trying to make a cake, only to realize halfway through that I had no eggs. Spoiler alert, I didn't turn it into a vegan masterpiece, but I did get some laughs along the way. The curse of the sticky dough, baking fails you'll relate to. Ah, sticky dough. Is there anything more frustrating? You've got your recipe, your ingredients measured, and then bam, the dough sticks to everything. Your fingers, your countertop, and even your dog if you're not careful. It's like a culinary trap designed to make you question your life choices. I'll share the most relatable sticky dough story. Once, I tried to make cinnamon rolls and ended up with something resembling dough-covered rocks. My countertop looked like a crime scene, and I spent an hour scraping dough off my hands, my mixer, and every possible surface. Why does this happen? I'll break down the science of dough and tips to avoid making your kitchen a sticky battlefield. The egg crack fails, more shell than yolk. We've all cracked an egg and immediately regretted it. Half the shell ends up in the bowl, and you're left trying to salvage what's left. Or worse, you end up with a scrambled mess before the recipe even begins. I've learned that cracking eggs like a pro requires practice, or at least a strong sense of humor. I'll tell you about a time I cracked an egg into the batter, and my kitchen was practically swimming in tiny shell fragments. The worst part? I had to fish them out using only a spoon. But trust me, that little shell hack will change your life. The Great Cookie Dough Mystery, who ate it? The mystery of the missing cookie dough, a true culinary whodunit. You spend all day making the perfect dough, chilling it in the fridge, and come back to find it's half gone. Who ate it? Was it your sneaky roommate, your partner, or maybe the mysterious midnight cookie dough thief? Let's explore this age-old baking conundrum with some hilarious anecdotes from real-life cookie dough thefts and the lengths we go to protect our doughy creations. Spoiler alert, sometimes, the thief is you. The Great Flour Explosion, Baking Disasters in Action. Flour explosions are a real hazard in the kitchen. Whether it's opening a bag of flour like a rookie or trying to mix dry ingredients at full speed, flour can and will go everywhere. It's like an untold law of the kitchen. I'll recount the time I mixed flour in my mixer without the lid, turning my kitchen into an instant snowstorm. And yes, I'm still finding flour in places I didn't know existed. Let's talk about how to avoid these whiteout situations and some creative ways to clean up the aftermath. The Great Spaghetti Slip, Kitchen Mishaps in Slow Motion. Who hasn't slipped on a puddle of water or an errant tomato slice in the kitchen? Spaghetti slips are some of the funniest and most relatable kitchen accidents. You're walking, you trip, and suddenly you're on the floor with spaghetti in your hair. It's like something out of a slapstick comedy. Let me share my most memorable slip, right after boiling a pot of spaghetti. I stepped on a stray noodle, and the next thing I knew, I was sliding across the kitchen floor in slow motion. We all know that kitchen mishaps can be like a circus, but they're definitely part of the fun. The mystery of the smoking oven. The smoking oven, a baking disaster in real time. Nothing says panic like a puff of smoke pouring out of your oven mid-bake. Is it your cookies? Your cake? Or did you just forget to clean the oven for the last 3 months? Whatever the reason, the smoke alarm goes off, your pets panic, and your perfect dessert turns into a charred mess. I'll recount how I managed to create the perfect smoke cloud while baking a cake, turning the kitchen into an unintentional sauna. I'll also give you tips on keeping your oven in tip-top shape and avoiding the dreaded smoke signal while baking. The never-ending dishwashing cycle, comedy in the kitchen. Picture this, you've just finished a meal, and the kitchen is a battlefield of dirty dishes. You clean up, but as soon as you turn around, there's a new set of dishes waiting for you. Why does it feel like the dishes multiply? Is it a conspiracy? Let's explore the never-ending dishwashing struggle we all know too well and laugh at how we somehow think one more plate won't lead to a mountain of suds. Personal stories of trying to avoid doing dishes, only to end up with a sink full of plates after every meal. The Rice Cooker Chronicles, Adventures in Overflows. Ah, the rice cooker. It promises ease and convenience, but sometimes it delivers a hot mess. Ever had the rice cooker boil over and flood your kitchen with sticky rice? Let's dive into the trials and tribulations of cooking rice perfectly and how it feels like a battle between you and that tiny appliance. A tale of making a perfectly timed pot of rice, only for it to overflow and ruin your kitchen decor. Oops. Tiny Kitchen Chronicles, Cooking in Tight Spaces. Not all of us have the luxury of a spacious kitchen. The struggle of cooking in tight spaces where every move feels like a dance routine. Let's share the funniest and most frustrating moments of squeezing between counters, avoiding that open drawer, and trying not to knock anything over while making your dinner. Struggling to make a simple meal in a tiny kitchen and knocking things over, trying to juggle utensils, ingredients, and a hot stove in a cramped space. Weird food combos that work, and some that don't. You know those times when you think, hey, I'll try something new, and then you end up with a bizarre food combo that actually tastes surprisingly good? Or, alternatively, the ones that were just wrong. Let's discuss some of the most shocking combos we've dared to try, and those we will never try again. A surprising food combination that went viral on social media and the hilarious reactions it garnered. When food labels confuse you, Cooking with mystery ingredients. What does best before even mean? Or is this spice past its prime? Ever been bamboozled by food labels that make no sense? Join me as I explore the mystery behind food packaging and those times when you pick up an ingredient with absolutely no idea what to do with it. Is it still good, or should I toss it? Buying a mystery spice blend with no idea what it actually is and attempting to cook with it, only to be surprised by the results, or lack thereof. When recipes say easy but mean impossible. Just a few simple ingredients and 15 minutes to prep, they say. But 45 minutes later, you're drowning in flour, butter, and an unrecognizable mess. This is the true story of when easy recipes end up being the most complicated thing you've ever attempted. Microwave madness. Ever put something in the microwave for 30 seconds, and when you take it out, it's either burning hot or completely frozen? Ah, the microwave, a true enigma. Funny, I once microwaved a bag of popcorn for the recommended 2 minutes, only for half of the kernels to be uncooked and the other half to be ash. I swear, the microwave knew I had no idea what I was doing. Quick research shows that over 60% of microwave users don't read the instruction manual properly. No wonder they get so confused. Oven surprise. Have you ever opened your oven, expecting to find a roast chicken, only to discover a forgotten casserole from last week's dinner party? That's right, your oven doubles as the world's worst storage unit. Funny, I once baked cookies and completely forgot about them until I smelled smoke. The cookies were so burnt they could double as coasters now. But hey, at least I know the oven works for that purpose. When the timer lies. Timers, those sweet little devices that promise precision, until they're the ones that lie. Who hasn't set a timer for 10 minutes, only to discover that your food is either burnt beyond recognition or still raw in the middle? A relatable moment, I tried to bake a cake, and the timer said 30 minutes. I ended up with what could only be described as a rubber pancake. Did I mention I'm not a professional chef? Following recipes that still go wrong. Ah, the joy of recipes. You follow every step meticulously, but somehow, the end result is nothing like the photo. The sauce was supposed to be creamy, but it turned out chunky. The cake was supposed to rise, but it sank like the Titanic. Personal experience, I once followed a recipe for spaghetti bolognese to the letter, but somehow, the bolognese turned into a mushy disaster. Lesson learned, it's not always the recipe's fault. The great cookie conundrum. Finally, why do all my cookies stick together? I've followed the recipe, used the best ingredients, and yet my cookies always end up in one giant blob. It's like they're in love and can't stand to be apart. A funny observation, some say it's the weather that makes cookies stick together, but I think the cookies just want to share the love, way too much love. Common disclaimer. This content is created purely for entertainment purposes and is suitable for all ages. All scenarios are dramatized. Please follow safe cooking practices and enjoy responsibly.